You want to know how a life turns, how a single unremarkable day twists into a story you never meant to live. Let me tell you about Martha Langley and the day she stepped off her wagon and found herself face to face with three boys, sacks over their heads lined up like cattle for sale. Orphans, $3 apiece, the sign read. And, yeah, that's the kind of world we're talking about, where hope gets sold by the pound and people look away so they don't have to feel it. Martha wasn't out for bread or nails, didn't need a thing, just happened to turn her wagon when the wind shifted. Call it instinct or just something in the bones. Nobody noticed her at first, and that was the usual way of things. The widow Langley moved through town like smoke, always in black, always alone, never stopping for the gossip or the prayer meetings, just business, then back to her little corner where nobody could reach her. But that day she cut through the crowd, her boots hitting the dirt with that sound that says, "Don't mess with me." The auctioneer, a sweaty, red-faced man with suspenders digging into his gut, tried to draw her in. "Ma'am, you here for one?" She didn't answer, didn't blink. And maybe that's what made everyone else fall silent, the way she just looked at those boys. The oldest knees buckling but not falling, the middle one bruised and lost, the youngest eyes locked on Martha like he'd seen a ghost. She didn't haggle. Pulled out her purse, $6 silver, one scrap of paper that still smelled of lavender, and pressed them into the man's palm. "All three," she said. When the sacks came off, the youngest whispered Mrs. Langley, "Not scared, just sure. You ever have someone say your name and it feels like the world's been waiting for it?" That was the moment. They rode home in silence, her at the reins, the boys huddled in the wagon bed, eyes fixed on anything but each other. She didn't ask questions, didn't offer food, just let them have the space, because some kids, the ones who've been through too much, get spooked by kindness more than cruelty. Her house, leaning and battered at the edge of the pines, wasn't much, but it stood. She gave them food beds by the fire and names: Milo, Harris, Beck. They told her bits and pieces, but the youngest, Milo, claimed he'd heard her name in a dream. "Martha Langley will come. She'll take you home." Yeah, try sleeping after a kid says that. Night fell hard, and while the boys drifted, Martha stared at the ceiling, remembering the words she'd whispered to the dirt at her husband's grave. "Let someone need me again. Let someone say my name." Now a boy had, and everything started turning. The next day she got them cleaned up, quiet orders, no fuss. Beck, always braced for a blow, asked her straight out why she was doing this. "Because I want to," she answered. People forget what kindness costs. He didn't argue, just did the work. She showed him splitting wood, stacking firewood, cleaning what could be cleaned. It wasn't smooth plates, dropped silences stretched, but by sundown the house felt warmer than it had in years. Then the Reverend showed up, all lean and stiff in his black coat, wanting to know what she planned to do. "You know they've been passed around more than stray dogs," he said. Martha just looked at him, said, "Then I'll make new history." He sighed, taking in one's hard enough. 3. That's a resurrection. Maybe it was. But peace is always borrowed in a place like this. Beck's nightmares came first, wrenching him awake, screaming about men who smelled like rope, about pain he couldn't forget. Martha held him till he woke, told him, "You're safe, you're home." The boys learned to trust in inches, not miles. Harris handled worms and garden dirt like they were something precious. Milo sang to himself, left little drawings under her pillow, each one she kept. But the world never lets you build walls high enough. Trouble found them anyway, a man claiming he had papers for the boys, forged and cold, calling them property. Martha raised her husband's old rifle and dared him to try. He didn't. But she knew it was only a matter of time. She took the boys to the courthouse, faced down the judge. "I didn't sign these," the judge admitted. "Someone's forging legal documents to steal children." Martha wanted peace, not promises. And for a while, peace came. The boys learned to bake, built a sled, read every book in the attic. Milo wrote his name, first word he'd ever written, Martha. That one hit her harder than any winter. But warnings kept coming. Notes slipped under the door, missing chickens, a goat left dead. Someone wanted to rattle her. When a stray dog appeared and gunshots rang out in the woods, Martha knew they were being hunted. She prepared the boys, packed a revolver, drew up maps, made plans to run if they had to. But it was her they came for, not the boys. 3 men on horseback took her, dragged her into the hills, left her tied up in a shack, battered but unbroken. It was Beck Harris and Milo who tracked her kids, but desperate and fierce, armed with nothing but a revolver and the stubborn belief that family is whoever comes for you. They found her, fought off the men, hid in an old mine shaft, and when the bullets started flying, Martha was the one who pulled the trigger, saving her boys bloodied but together. They limped home fortified. Their little kingdom got a big old hound to watch the porch. Martha kept going, heart heavy but full. A tree planted for the dead bloomed in the spring, fragile, stubborn. They were healing, but scars run deep. And just when it seemed safe, the past came knocking. A telegram, 3 boys stolen, headed for auction. Martha saddled up. This time she led the charge, Harris riding with her. They stormed the auction in the dead of night, Harris lighting a fuse, Beck riding wild. It was chaos, but they got those boys out, brought them home. New faces, new names, Jonas, Paulie, Ben, each one broken in a different way, but under Martha's roof given a shot at something like peace. Evenings filled with laughter, arguments, the soft thump of boots, and boys learning how to be brothers again. Yeah, the world still spun mean, and sometimes fear was waiting just past the tree line. But there was love here now, and work, and the kind of stubborn hope that can't be bought or stolen. Martha's house became known as the Boonlight, a beacon for kids lost to the darkness, a place for anyone who needed a name or a hand or just a warm meal by the fire. So let me leave you with this. Maybe justice isn't handed down by a gavel or a badge. Maybe it's stitched into the fabric of a house, in every loaf of bread, every calloused hand. Maybe it's about showing up, even when the whole world wants to see you fail. Tell me, what would you have done? When the fight comes to your door, do you run or do you stand? Share your thoughts. What does family mean to you, and where do you draw the line between right and wrong when the world looks away?
Xin chào các bạn, mình là Trinh, mình phụ trách viết content. Trên đây là những công việc của mình, là mình lên mạng xã hội tìm hiểu những video
Hey, if you guys have any trouble, let somebody know, please.
After the tree to hold on to. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're defend.